This is episode 75 of the Rhythm and Rhymes podcast. I'm your host, AJ Hughes, and I'm here with my co-host, Antonio Hughes. And I wanted to report from being outside. I wanted to come back here and report on what it's like to come back from being outside. I'm not going outside for a while now. But first I'll ask, how you doing? Before I get into that, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I can't complain, I don't know if how this week has been pretty stressful, to be honest. I'm at finals right now, so it's been tough. Definitely been studying, cramming a lot. I spent 7 hours yesterday in Colvin Library trying to figure out how to code SQL. So that's been a time, but I'm doing all right. Just ready to get back home. Started looking towards that Smino show because he dropped that tour lineup, so I'm looking to go to that, but doing pretty good. Can't complain.
I remember that SQL class. I dropped it because what am I doing? What am I doing here? But yeah, everybody who's in school right now is very stressed. I don't remember and I can't relate. I'm past it. You know what I'm saying? I just think y'all should get over it. But that's really not how y'all feel about it. Y'all really don't feel that way about it. And it's the biggest thing and most important thing in y'all lives right now. But most of y'all got professors that are going to pass you anyway. Let's be real.
It really depends. I feel like certain friends I have are more stressed than others. I feel like my friends that are in the health fields and stuff like that, they can get like cut from their programs and not be able to get back in and have to restart damn near. But then there's people like me where I'm in business, so I'm not going to have as much of, if I'm not doing well in the class, I'm not as stressed about it because it's more so who you know and who you're able to get in contact with. Yeah.
Fair. I guess maybe I'm speaking from a very biased perspective. You know what I'm saying? I had a difference than most people, and everybody has a different path, so maybe I'm tripping. Right. But this weekend, I was in Miami, bro. I was in Miami, Art Basel, and there was actually a lot going on as it pertains to visual art because that's mainly what it is. But a lot of things are planned around it, and a lot of exhibits happen, parties happen, events happen based on the music stuff too, which I would still lump in as art. Music is art, right? Mm-hmm. Music is a type of art, so to see like music in different environments, like I had 3 very different experiences when I was down there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3 different types of music events. But I wanted to start, I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to actually start on Sunday and I'm going to work back to Friday. Is that cool?
Cool with me.
All right, bet. So Sunday was Jerk and Jollof, a name I had heard frequently because they are popular in cities like LA and Detroit for doing like an Afrofusion type of event. And I was excited to go because it was like essentially the last party that was being thrown for Art Basel, because Art Basel really ends on Saturday and Sunday. It's like events, brunch, all that type of jazz. So we get there, bro, and I was very impressed. And I would go to another event, not on a big weekend, right? I feel like the only things I didn't like about it were just like so many people were there, big crowds. I saw a lot of people. I saw Jay Critch randomly. I saw G Herbo's baby mother, I guess. Somebody pointed that out to me. I don't know who that is, but I saw her. Drake Critch, big dude, tall dude. I didn't know he was that tall.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was that tall. Who else did I see? I saw, this is random, but I saw Ray J and Zara.
That ass?
Yes. You know what the look is down there? If you're trying to hide the bucket hat, a lot of them be in a bucket hat. He was in a bucket hat. And he was obviously buying a fit for the night. And it made me feel better about buying my fit.
Are you talking about One Kiss Ray J or Ray J Dennis? Which one are you talking about?
Yes, One Kiss Ray J.
Oh, shit.
Yes. No, I didn't see Ray J Dennis shout out Ray J Dennis. I didn't see Ray J Dennis at Art Basel. No, I saw Ray J, Sunglass Ray J, Brandy's brother Ray J, One Kiss Ray J. Yes, he was next in line.
Bro, what the fuck? What store was that?
Zara?
What the fuck? I wouldn't even imagine that nigga to shop in Zara, bro.
Zara. But I was going to say something to him, but he looked like he didn't want to be seen. That's what I'm saying. The bucket hat lets you know they're not trying to be. But anyway, I saw Jay Critch at Jerk and Jollof randomly. But to the event, you walk in, they give you a free shot of, it's like a taste tester of all the drinks that they have on their menu. You get a free small plate of jerk chicken, jollof rice, and plantain. It's a sample size, but it's respectable. You know what I'm saying? And then you get in there and there's the DJ lineup leading up to the main event, which is, you know what I'm saying, Uncle Waffles. Uncle Waffles was the headliner. But there was a dude named Jay Murphy who I've heard of doing events not only in Florida, but I heard about him doing some in Chicago too. But he opened up. he was really dope because he played a lot of like American music to start, and then they had an Afrobeats DJ. I think it was an Afrobeats vibe for a little bit, and then it went dancehall, and then Uncle Waffles came on, and she was on my piano, which I found that blend to be very interesting. You know what I'm saying? I also did note that Chicago needs a new anthem, bro. I'm tired of the same 30 seconds Chicago in the building, and then they play Finito or Earned It. It's one of the two. We need another anthem.
I think the bigger thing about it too is like people don't really know Chief's catalog. Chief Keef has so many good party songs, and it's like they will only go to those two. Like even if they just pulled from the past like 2 to 3 years of him making music, like stuff off of that last album and the album before that, there's a lot on there that's like heat, like real heat.
There is heat, but there is something to be said for in the club. You might not have to play all of the popular hits, but to play recognizable music to a broader audience, right? Even if you could pull something off that new album and play it, but the effect of Chicago in the building is to get the people in Chicago to react, and so you have to find a hit. And we haven't had a hit. We haven't had a hit, but anyway, I don't want to deep dive this right now. I think that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
It was just something I thought about when I was in the club. Also, Jerk and Jollof implies that there's going to be Africans there. Africans are tall. Africans are tall, and I am not. I was nowhere near the front, and so I was moving my head back and forth in between dudes trying to see Uncle Waffles on the stage because I'm in the back. This was the first time I was out in a club. Like, okay, in a situation like this, I need to buy a section. This was the only time I felt like I should have bought a section, and I would have bought a section. And so I really deep that, like, for me to pay $1,000 to sit in an area to watch a DJ perform tells you how much I go to value music. Because it doesn't feel like a bad purchase to me. It doesn't feel like a bad purchase to me to see somebody doing that. To a regular club night, bad purchase. But for that, it felt worth it.
Did you buy the section?
There was none left. I tried. There was none left. Yeah. I had, and that was cool too about their menu. As somebody who's planning an event, it was $25 at the door. I would say, bro, they probably sold 500 to 750 tickets. And then the drink started at $18. The jerk and jollof plate started at $20. And then the hookah was $65. And the sections were starting from $1,000 to $2,000. And the bottles were like $300 to $500, bro. And they were doing bottle wars in there. They were doing bottle wars with the signs, like, hey, free the people. So, bro, I'm listening to the music and I'm enjoying it, but I'm doing math in my head. I'm sitting here doing math in my head, bro. Blew me away. It really, like, in a bigger way, it did show me how much more tangible it is than I would like to think it is.
Yeah.
It's just positioning and price. Like, I was just sitting there really thinking about positioning and price. Like, the way that they've done this is perfect. You know what I'm saying? So I really enjoyed that event. It was late. I also do want to say I'm getting old because by the third day, I was ready to go home. I was 100% ready to go home. On the second night, go back to Saturday, we went to Everyday People, which is also a notable Black event that travels city to city. And they're pretty global too, right? So they're going to Bahia, Brazil in a little bit. They did Johannesburg a little while ago. But that was crazy because usually their events are indoors, like at clubs and stuff. But this was outdoor in a marketplace. And so it was more like a concert vibe. Like they had a bunch of DJs and people on stage. And it was like, it had to be 1,000 people in the crowd just like standing and like dancing and stuff like that. Because the first night, Friday, was so crazy, I didn't have the energy to do that. So we left and went to another club. But it was crazy to see an event of that size. Like just mad Black people out. And they had a VIP line. And the tickets, bro, the tickets to those were more expensive than Jerk and Jollof. The tickets to those were like $37. And that was the basic tier. And you had the VIP tier, the friends and family tier. Bro, they was out there getting money too. I would say going to these events, bro, people are getting money out here. And they were playing good music. So I will say that too. But they were playing more Americanized music. Glorilla goes off everywhere outside. I realized that this weekend too.
This was the first time you realized Glorilla went off outside, bro?
It wasn't the first time. This was just like it's reassured it. This put it like every night Glorilla vocals got played. Like like that's going to get played at every, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I also identified that my favorite type of, I feel like I need another word for it than ignorant, but ignorant rap, Sexy Red. I like every Sexy Red song.
I don't think she got a bad one, bro.
She don't, and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense knowing what I like in music. She's the antithesis of it, but it's just a bop. It's just a bop. Yeah. Regardless, on Friday, we went to the Shrine, which is like an Afro Caribbean party that they throw in Miami and stuff like that. Was at this event where they had an indoor and an outdoor setting. Bro, the DJ's outside I don't remember the opening DJ's names, but Skylar Tyler was the headline DJ. She's the opening DJ for WizKid.
Mhm.
She's fire. And it was so lit. Everybody was out there dancing, and it was just good vibes. Like I was dead ass on stage. I was dead ass on stage just dancing. I was lit. I was so lit. And I don't know why. I don't know why I was so lit, but the piano, that's where I need to be at. I need to be at more Amapiano parties. That makes me want to throw more Amapiano parties because the music just different. The energy just different.
Yeah, I would
Um,
definitely say I want to go to Art Basel. Like it's definitely something that's on my list. I think the actual art aspect of it, outside of the music art aspect of it, I think would be really interesting to me, getting to see some of that visual art, but also definitely seeing some of those shows. And I felt like when you were talking about how you start adding up numbers, that kind of made me feel like how when I went to Houston, when I went to the club, that was the night that JT was going to be in that club, where she was previewing her new album and doing her little club run. And it was like the same way. Like I walked in there, I was like, sections are like $700, $800, and I know for a fact I want to see JT, and there's all these people standing in this area. It would be better to have a section right now. Like you was talking about, bottles go up to $200-$300. Like there's a lot of money to be made, especially in throwing events, because I feel like there's just people just always looking for something to do. So Art Basel is definitely gonna be something that's on my list, and I'm definitely excited for it. I definitely need to go to more Afrobeats
yeah, I think
parties too. I'm planning on going to Masada when I get back to Chicago.
you should. I definitely think next year you should come with me. I now know what type of time I was on out there. You should have came with me. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I needed you to come with me. But speaking to like the actual physical art exhibits, what I will say, I do want to speak to how Chance the Rapper is out here moving, bro, because I went to his it's called Writing on the Wall. It was an event, a private listening experience. He refused to call it his album. He kept saying a collection of songs. And he had like he didn't put any song titles, but like you go into this room. I couldn't take any pictures because there was no phones. But you go into this room, there's mad bean bags on the chairs, and then there's like empty easels on the wall. Or that's what not easels. What is it called? Like that paintings go on? The fucking you know what I'm talking about.
Easily.
Okay, easels.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of them on the walls, and then they had projectors and lights in there. And with each song came some type of visual show on the paint, and like they were putting paintings on the walls. And he had all of the lyrics going across basically at the speed of the song, right? So you get to see what he's saying, and you also get this visual experience with the songs. Some of them, there was 15 songs, and some of them had videos with them already. I think this is his album, but I think he's just saying that just in case he takes one off or puts another one on, et cetera, et cetera. What I will say, I have my notebook. He let us take notes in there.
I'll say I'm excited for a Chance album.
To the actual experience, bro, I paid $90 for that ticket.
Mm-hmm.
I paid $90 for that ticket. And on top of that, he was selling merch. T-shirts started at $45. You know what I'm saying? Hoodies, 60, 78. He was out there. He was making some money because he did 2 shows a day, every day of the week. And it was full. It was probably like 100 people in there. You know what I'm saying? So he made some bread off of that show. So as an independent, to be able to generate that much revenue, to do something that creative too, because I don't know anybody else who presented that album in that way. Like he found a way to visually implement his album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to the music, I'm kind of cool. There was a couple songs on there. I'm kind of cool. Some of the I like some of the messaging he had in there, but Chance been in church. I'll tell y'all that. Chance has been in church. He had a couple songs on there that I really liked. I'll read y'all my notes. Some of these have tracks associated, some don't. He had a lyric in there. I would follow my own sword before I fall in line. That was hard. The drums on piece number 9 are harder than the ones prior. So he was using a lot of soft drum. He was using like that Jersey house. He was doing a lot of that early on, and he was doing a lot of the slow church type of rhythmic drums, like in the first 1 to 8, I would say. I don't want to hear Chance on Jersey Club, but that's the opening track. I'm just telling y'all that. Piece number 10, what I've been waiting from hip hop again. I'm pretty sure this is the one with Lil Wayne. He had a song on there with Lil Wayne. It sounded like Smino was on there, but it was hard. It was hard, bro. It was a song about like a smoking song. That's the best way to describe it. Like we got Smoke Break from him, but this is like more like a hot box song, if that makes sense. It's good. I liked it. The full statement was Piece number 10 is what I've been wanting from hip hop again. Pick an old soul sample and spaz out. Go get some John Legend. Because I thought we were giving these to him at first, because he said he wanted to hear our thoughts. So I was writing to him. I said, go get some John Legend vocals cleared. LOL. Then I said, oh, how much we have in common, the Midwest family lifestyle. So there was one track on there, piece 13, where he was talking about, bro, just imagine a weekend in a Midwest, an average Midwest black household, like whether it's somebody grilling, watching a game, somebody calling somebody. Like it was just, he was speaking to very relatable things, bro. It was making me think of home. You know what I'm saying? It was a good song. It was a good song. He was spitting on there. Like, he's very good at articulating a thought when he has one that resonates with me. So that song was cool. Piece 13. Piece 14. Oh, that beat was crazy. I put insert Jay-Z nodding meme here in parentheses. In parentheses, you know the one. And then piece 15 was a song that it was like under the premise of saying thank you to Will Smith or just like appreciating Will Smith. And I said the Hitch bar was tough because I don't think Hitch is recognized in Will Smith's catalog enough. And he slipped it in there. So when you hear the song, you'll know what I'm talking about. And finally, he did a Q&A. He only got 4 questions. And I got to ask the first question. I hope they put the video out because I was sitting in front of the camera. There was no other seats. I was right in front of the camera. And so I got to ask the first question. I asked him, like, a couple of the songs sounded like he had the lyrics ready before he got the beat. So I asked him if he wrote the songs first or he would find a beat that would inspire him to write the lyrics. And he said he would have ideas for how he would want the songs to go and maybe like a line or two. And then he just goes to listen through mad beats and oftentimes finds like maybe some drums or a sample or whatever it is. And then they build around it and finish it that way. But he said he wasn't like, I thought some of these sounded like he had just scribbled them down on a notepad and went and found a beat. And then it was like, bet, that's what they sounded like. But he said that wasn't the process with any of these. So I thought that was interesting.
I think the only person I've seen doing something similar as far as like curating their shows is probably the Russell. But I think this is like, I would have loved to see like a full video of what it looked like or have been in attendance because I think this is a really cool way to present anything, to be honest, like, but a way to present music. I think this is a really good way to do it. I really love some of the visuals Chance has been putting out like on Instagram and some of the stuff he's been doing with the Black Starline Fest. And I'm definitely excited for a new album. Kind of jealous you got to really talk to and ask Chance questions. Something's funny out there. But hopefully this new album I fuck with. I know you were sitting there like, maybe not all the way for you, had some good slaps on there, but maybe we'll see. Maybe it'll be something I enjoy. So
you know what's sick?
What?
I might have heard one song that was in par with all the singles he's dropped in the last 2 years.
Really?
Yes, the one with the insert Jay-Z nodding. That was like a very simple beat, and it was just him flowing. But I think the highs and the lows on a biased perspective is one of my favorite rap songs of all time.
For real?
Facts. Yes. That song is so hard. And it gets burned for me every year. But there's no song better than that. The Joey Purp song we heard, Bad Boys 2, that's hard. A Bar About a Bar, which is it's more like an interlude. It's only a minute. Hard. Rape 2 that he dropped with Vic Mensa, hard. There's another one too that he had dropped. But you get the gist of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I don't know, Chance, why maybe this is why he didn't call it the album, because maybe those are on there. I don't know. Because I forgot to mention, there was a room in there where he had the paintings that were associated with, you know how like on the cover art of some of the singles he's put out, there was paintings. Like he had those paintings available for you to take pictures with and see, right? And so maybe those are on the album. If those are on the album, then I eat my words. But it was very dope to see it in person. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't think there's anybody else thinking it this way. And the last question that he answered, well, the 2 other questions that he answered, bro, that I feel like would be interesting to talk about. Somebody asked him, like, basically saying that he didn't want to just put it out on streaming because he wants to be able to tell the story with the album visually like he did for us in some form or capacity. Like somebody had suggested like he do it through VR or whatever. And he took that and parlayed it into like the streaming conversation. And he went all the way back to when he did like Coloring Book with Apple and that exclusive deal, and how like essentially he ushered in the streaming era. He did it with that deal. Like that's when they really made the push, and it was off the back of that release. And he was just saying it's crazy to hear everybody yelling, "Yo, streaming sucks." And he was sort of like, "Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know who brought this shit in." And he was like, it was funny because he said he's glad streaming came in, but now he's like, bro, it's like they've limited their options, and he doesn't know what to do about it. So he's trying to figure it out, which I thought was very like forward thinking of him, because he's always been forward thinking. But yeah, I think it's coming out soon. I think it's coming out soon. I don't think he did this and then it's not going to come out. So shout out Chance.
Shout out Chance, man. Chicago legend, man.
Legend. Channel from 69th, right? I thought it was from 63rd. I have to go do some checking, but that's Vaughn, right?
Yeah, no, it's King
He's from
Von.
63rd.
Those are different Chicago streets than Chance is from.
Yo, them being 6 blocks away is hilarious.
Oh, God.
Anyway, let's get into the next topic real quick. Man, Sony Music removes their catalog from Boomplay. Now, you may ask, what is Boomplay, right? You don't know what that is.
I do not.
Boomplay is what self-reported as the biggest streaming platform in Africa. Them, and then there's another one called Madundo, I think it's called. Don't come at me for my enunciation, but Boomplay alleges that they have 98 million subscribers on their app, and Sony has pulled their catalog from the streaming platform due to late royalty payments. This move highlights a growing issue in the music industry, particularly in emerging markets, where timely and accurate royalty payments can be a challenge, right? So we know that there isn't as much infrastructure in the music industry there as there is here yet, right? And so labels getting payments out, licensing companies, everybody doing the royalty payments, they're not as up to date as other markets may be, right? And so Sony Music is basically saying, if we're going to keep getting late payments, we're just going to remove our music from here, right? And the reason that this is important is because revenue from those artists is going to decrease dramatically, right? So if you think about African artists, like a lot of them, their primary markets are going to be in Africa. And so if you're the primary streaming platform and your primary demographic is no longer bringing you in revenue, it's going to alter how you do business. It's going to alter what you end up doing, like just from a marketing perspective, right? That's a big deal. And the streaming is going to impact their user base, right? So if they're unable to get their favorite artists, if they're unable to listen to, even to take it past the African artists, if I live in Africa and I can't go stream Beyonce,
right,
I can't go stream Tyler the Creator, right? I'm gonna have to go find somewhere else to listen to it, and that may affect their revenue because I might just stop paying for the app altogether because I don't know how long this is gonna take you. I don't know if it's gonna happen again. So this could decrease their number and make them number 2. And then also, it just speaks to how the infrastructure isn't there yet and how much money it really takes to get this stuff together. If you think about the early days of hip hop when it was like this rapper was signed to Man's on the Block and they didn't really have a business for him, I would equate it to that today. Like in a lot of those markets, there might not be a ton of record label infrastructure. So you might be signed to Man's on the Block and the licensing company might not be able to coordinate with them 100%, which might make it hard for payments to flow seamlessly. And so it just speaks to how much money and how much information is still required to build stuff up in those areas. And when you think about it that way, like that's why streaming payments out in those areas are lower, right? Like a stream in Chicago does not equate to a stream in Lagos. They're not the same thing.
right.
And that's part of why. And so you have to spend money to make money. So if a lot of these streaming services want to grow these markets like they did in Latin markets, they got to invest.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how some of these platforms invest in the next couple of years. Sure, I was unmuted. Sorry. I think you'll definitely probably see an impact on their user base if they don't move with speed. We see now, even with the NBA, we've seen a drop in viewership. And part of that has been their increase in price as far as how much it costs to go to a game, how much it costs to get NBA League Pass, stuff like that. But then there's also the third part of it of people are always going to find a way around it. Like you said, like half my friends, half of FAMU uses StreamEast right now or uses some crack streams or something like that. Like people always are going to find another way to get what they want when it comes to media. Right. So people are going to go and find it. And I think they're definitely going to have to move with some speed. But I think this is interesting because there's a couple other companies that are starting to pop up IPO wise like in other countries that are interesting, Africa especially. And I think it'll be interesting to see where they go. But
yeah, I just wanted to bring it here just because it speaks to the demographic of people we talk to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There was one more that I forgot to put on the list, but I found it very interesting. And I found it somewhat related to things I've been saying on here like last year. Do you remember that how Spotify had the car device?
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be bigger than it was, right? And the reason that was is because streaming, the difference between streaming radio of last era and streaming of this era is that the radio programming was a lot more intentional and a lot more effective because when people would get in their cars, like millions of people drive.
Mm-hmm.
So when people get in their cars, you can literally time to the T when rush hour is going to be, and you can play the top 10 songs during that period of time. And that would affect how songs end up getting bigger, blowing up, etc. Right. And so I always thought if Spotify was able to integrate with a car company, like a SiriusXM,
Mm-hmm.
right, which I'm about to speak about, then that would dramatically increase how they would be able to program, and you would see more of the radio version. Like you could see more like broadcasters and DJs speak like
Mm-hmm.
107.5,
Yeah.
92.3. You'd be able to program in a more effective way because the thing is like outside of environments like that, most people aren't going to turn the radio on, which is why Spotify doesn't even really have things like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's why it doesn't really work in the same way because most of the time everybody's async when they're outside of the car. But I just bring that back to this point. SiriusXM doubled down on car subscribers and pivot from year-old streaming app. Basically, this app was talking about how their subscription is $9.99, and their focus is going forward is going to be doubling down on the people who are buying the subscription as opposed to trying to increase their streaming. Again, as I said, the subscription is $9.99. They have 33 million people signed up with SiriusXM subscriptions, 90% of whom listen in their cars, right? 30 million people subscribing to them and listening in their cars. That's a very direct audience. And I found this interesting because I think it speaks to consumer behavior and how, if you're in the business, you have to figure out how somebody is going to consume your product or service. That's a fact. That's the only way. You need to get in front of them and you need to speak to that in a level of messaging. And I just think it would behoove a Spotify and Apple Music. Apple Music has radio services, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think because they have so many other products, it works to that capacity. But Spotify, I feel like it's a no-brainer. I feel like this is low-hanging fruit for real. Bro, just go partner up with Apple and get in CarPlay. Do something a little bit more effective in that way. I feel like there's another way to do it because SiriusXM, $30 million is nothing to snuff your nose at. 30 million users is nothing to snuff your nose at.
Hold on. My bad. Yeah, I don't think Apple will let Spotify get in that CarPlay. I feel like if they would do anything, they would push Apple Music more than anything because it's their platform. But I do think that you do see Apple moving towards, they're trying to get into the car business. They've been trying to do stuff like that, integrate Siri into more stuff. I forgot which car company Apple was working with. I don't want to say Tesla because I don't think it was Tesla, but I know that certain brands have been working to integrate with these cars. And I think it would be cool to see Spotify get in something like a Hyundai or get in something like a Kia. Like, I feel like that would be a cool thing for them to have. I also feel like it would really expand their market share. So
That's a fact. That's a fact. I think, and the last thing I'll say on this before we get into new music, quote from SiriusXM Chief Executive Jennifer Witz. We are focusing on our strong core subscriber base, our unique position, vehicle, and our unrivaled curated content. I think this is key in business, in media, especially like curating content. It is what differentiates you from the market, right? Something that I think about a lot, bro. Everybody is talking about the same things.
Mhm.
Everybody's talking about the same thing. If you take podcaster one, podcaster two, and podcaster three, if they're all talking about the same things, they may talk about them differently, but the topics, the output may be similar because you can only talk about so many different various ways of a specific subject. But if you have different inputs or you have different blinders on what you'll speak about on the pod, then the curation of those pieces then uniquely positions you from the rest of the market because nobody's talking about what you're talking about. And then nobody is going to have the insight on that thing because they're not even thinking about the thing.
Right.
Maybe this isn't for our music base, but in general, I think if you're doing any type of content, music is a form of content. That's something to consider. New music, man. It wasn't that much this week, and I ain't gonna lie to you. It was like three things I wanted to talk about. Let's start with Smino though. I want you to lead maybe in Nirvana. It was only 28 minutes. How many songs was it? I'm gonna find that out. But tell me your thoughts on this Smino project, bro.
I thought the Smino project was solid. I will say that it wasn't a love for rent for me. I use the word classic a lot differently than I feel like other people do. I feel like classic people have it like this stamped by everybody. Everybody thinks it's a classic. To me, a classic is something that will stand up through time. And if you put it in any era, I feel like it would stand up. I feel like this is one that or sorry, that was one of those albums for me. This album was cool. Definitely sounded more like a mixtape than a real full Smino album. One thing I will say about it is that I really like how artists this year, I feel like especially, have been putting their time into creating shorter projects. I feel like we had that big span from probably about 2018 to 2022 where we were getting 28, 29 song albums, 30 song albums. When Chris Brown comes out every single time, we're going to get 40 songs. That's just how some artists are. I appreciate the Nas type of project, the Illmatic type of project where we're getting 10 to 12 of your best. Sorry, the off season was the other project I was thinking about. Those type of projects are my favorite when it's really concise, but we know we're getting the best music from you. And I feel like this was a good album for me. I don't know how much replay value it'll have. I'm going to go listen to it again. I've listened to it probably about twice all the way through. I feel like he was getting his shit off at the end. And I feel like he linked up with this girl named Raven Lene. I like two songs between those two. I really like the vibe they had together. I think my favorite songs were Miss Joyce with Bun B and probably Glowfi, to be honest, with Raven Lene. But I thought this album was solid. Like, I definitely think it'll get some burn for me for sure.
Okay, I would agree. I would echo your sentiments. I don't think I could have said it better myself. I wasn't really too blown away by many tracks on here. But towards the middle, I did what I was hearing. Maybe your Nevada, the title track, decent. Lee is decent. And then the song with Bun B is also decent. I didn't get to that Glowfly record, the last one. I didn't hear it. But Raven Lene is fire, so I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I
This was
hadn't heard it.
independent. This
Oh,
was an
really?
independent project. Yes, he is off of Motown, which I think is worth noting. If there was an interview I watched of his where he was talking about the label deal and what was happening, he had 3 albums in the tuck before Love for Rent.
Really?
Yes. And then
Oh,
he said he was
shit.
about to release 2 following Love for Rent, one being a mixtape, and then he was just off 2023. Like he didn't put it out, and now he's independent. So I think something happened with the label, but Smino is one of those artists where it's like during that interview, he also talked about his feature run, which was like 2021, 2022, like before the album. It was like 2020, 2021, like into 2022. You know the run.
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all know the run. If not, we'll put some up, whatever. But he said that I feel like is what sort of like built his fan base in the biggest way. He had obviously a core fan base of his own music, but I feel like when you're just exposed to that many different demos with that many different, like, he's so varied that it like put him in a way where it's like he's set up to be an independent artist, if that makes sense. So he also sells product. He sells hoodies, and his hoodies are really fire. They're satin velour type of vibe. I was about to order one. They're like $150. So he's set up to be an independent artist, is all I'm saying. And when I seen it was independent, I wasn't surprised, but I don't think he'll have a problem.
You know what's funny, bro? Like, I had a feeling he was. I thought he was independent before that. I didn't even know he was really on Motown because I feel like he moves like an independent artist. He does a good job of promoting himself in his own way. I feel like he has a really niche, unique fan base, and I feel like he's been able to curate that in the way he wanted to. I do think maybe Motown didn't give him that creative freedom on the side of, oh, you can just release whatever out whenever. But I definitely think we saw him able to flex his wings as far as like creative expression goes on like what he's making and how he's showing himself off. So that's been cool.
Agreed. Agreed. Next album. It ain't even an album. It's 3 songs. It's 3 songs, bro. But like, On My Piano was so long that,
Shit was longer than the
bro,
Smino album, bro.
3 songs, 17 minutes. I will say, if you're not, On My Piano is the thing, bro. After this weekend, I realized On My Piano is a thing you need to experience out live before you can bring it back into your home.
Yeah.
In my opinion, to really deep what it's doing. You know what I'm saying? There's different types, but I feel like it's one of those things where you need to hear it in its proper environment to understand it. And hearing her live and seeing how she performs, her music makes more sense than it did for me before.
Mm-hmm.
And so the second track, Bop, Bafi, I think it is,
Mm-hmm.
very fire. It's the one. That's the one. Real quick, listen, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but Uncle Waffles is my favorite. That's my fave. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Uncle Waffles. We'll talk. We'll talk one day. We'll talk. For sure.
Look at Bill.
For sure. Did you hear this or no?
I heard it was solid. I think that I'm still getting warmed up to Amapiano, bro. Like I've been more in my Afrobeats bag. Like the Jules album is something that I've been trying to really go back to. There's a lot of hits on there, but I think this one I'm gonna have to get some more burn because it's hard to sit through sometimes. Like you said, it's long,
Yeah.
bro. It's real long.
It's not. And that's the thing. It's not a. It's not a shit through thing. It's like a throw on in the background, or I'm here enjoying the event because. And this is also why I say that, right? Nobody is at an Amapiano event or in an Amapiano set is playing all 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Nobody's playing all 7 minutes. And that's why it's structured in the way that it is in terms of the build up, the letdown, and the drop offs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you may start off with a build up and then the song builds. And then when you get to the high point, you transition another build up from another song into it. So you're into the next song. And the artists that are really trying to turn it up, or the DJs, they're going to, after they're at the highest point, they're just going to keep bringing the hook of the next song in. It's just hook, hook, hook. And so it's just more and more lit instead of the down portions of it. There's really no pause in it unless they stop or whatever. And so that's why I feel like you throw it on in the background as just house music while you're doing something, or it's really like you're in an environment, you got to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So it's really hard to really understand where you just in the car or you're just sitting there just listening to music. I only wanted to mention this Bad Bunny record because it's in the vein of the Setch project, which I'm going to come here and talk about next week.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they're going with production, okay, so they're both signed to Remix Entertainment. That's where Bad Bunny is signed. That's where Setch is signed. And I want to say this single, El Club, whatever you want to call it, they're adding in EDM, electronic types of music, house types of production. Clearly, it's intentional. I feel like it's intentional.
It is.
I feel like it's a very intentional thing because now that reggaeton has reached like a level of popularity in which people know it, it's like, how do you grow? There's a lot of people in the Spanish music, but how do you grow in the markets that are past the people that may speak the language you speak? And it's by doing stuff like this, like production wise. Like I don't like this song, but I see what's going on.
I have seen, like, when I went to Lala, there was a big difference in the first time I went to Lala and then this last time I went to Lala. I feel like as far as the artists that they're bringing out, the artists that are starting to be prominent, the amount of EDM artists that I've been put on to by a bunch of my friends in the past couple of months, it almost feels, I always say that with Afrobeats too, like it feels like 2016. I feel like there's new artists being pumped out in these other genres very often. So I could definitely see them trying to make that crossover. And I think reggaeton is a place you could do it because I feel like there's a lot of party style music, and I don't think it would sound too weird with some artists. Like I think some artists would sound really good with it. So I think Karol G would probably be a good one for it.
Yeah, yeah. You want to know something else that was interesting that I forgot to mention about Miami? They closed my favorite Spanish club.
That ass.
They closed it. They closed it in August. They closed my favorite Spanish bar, which was right next door. You know what I'm saying? RIP Shots, RIP El Centro. It is what it is. What opened up?
What?
El Perro Negro, Miami.
That ass.
Yeah, yeah. It was lit in there too.
Is
It
it
was lit in there
associated
too.
with the one in Colombia? Do you know? Did you?
Yeah, it's the same one. They just opened it.
Oh shit.
They just opened it. And to think that like my favorite, that was probably the reggaeton club in Wynwood. And so
Yeah.
to see another one open up after this one, I want to see the overlap because I think Centro closed in August. I don't know when Perro Negro opened. I just saw it now open on their website. I would be interested to know the overlap. Like if they were open at the same time.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I think it's interesting that club is up here. I thought that was just a Colombian thing.
Nah, their marketing is good. I like their marketing. I like it.
A little playing cards, bro.
Yeah, and their stuff online. Like if you go on their socials, like it's branded well.
Okay.
Shout out to them. I didn't spend too much time in that club though. I will say I just walked by, peeked my head in. What new music you got for the people, bro? What new music you got for the people, or what music you want to put them on to? Damn, we gotta be new. We be old. Give them some Al Green. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
Give them some Al Green.
not this week. This week, it's funny you mentioned Jay Critch because I listened to this artist. His name is Mike Period. He's a rapper I hadn't really heard this album. I'm not gonna say what it's called. It's something Pinball, but it was the album that came out this year by him. But I hadn't heard the full thing, and I heard some crazy songs on there. Intro was crazy. He had a song with Earl Sweatshirt on there that was crazy. But this song, Reminiscing, with him and Jay Critch, real good song. Jay Critch can go. I feel like he was kind of in that shadow of Rich the Kid. He didn't get that much marketing at the time, but Jay Critch can really go. Like, he had a bunch of good songs. I feel like he's one of those underground guys. And then I'm not gonna scare the host that much more because I did listen to this album as well, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Wait, so you said his
I'm
name
gonna
was
go
Mike with
with
a period?
Woman Commando by Ira Star, Anita, and Coco Jones. When I listened to this Ira Star project the first time, there were definitely some records on there that didn't hit my ear, or I was trying to get through it faster, so I skipped through. I have that habit with certain albums, but this is one I had to go back to. That's what I've been doing the past month or two, is going back to albums that I missed during 2024, and these are my two. So Woman Commando, and then Reminiscing by Mike J. Critch and Tony Seltzer.
Okay, sounds good. I wonder if this was the dude that was signed to. No, this isn't him. They signed Top Dog just signed somebody. I thought his name was Mike. Maybe it was somebody else.
Let me check. I'll look it up.
I forget the dude's name, but they announced that they signed him. But his last project was released independent, so I don't know if you find him. But regardless, all right, those are songs people should check out. I hear that. I got two for y'all. I was listening to Juvenile this weekend. Juvenile, 400 Degrees by Juvenile. That's one of the young whippersnappers. Put some respect on Juvie name. We're aware, but when you play them all back to back, it's different. That's all I'm gonna say. So 400 Degrees, Juvenile. I should get something for the girls, right? Maybe. No.
Maybe.
Oh, nah. I do what I want. Bing Bong by Yailin Lamas Vaira Puyalo Pantera, Dominicans. Shout out DR. That's all I'm gonna say. Those are my two records.
That artist was Ale Maida. It's a woman, actually, and she makes alternative rock music. She doesn't even make rap or anything like that. Not her?
No, so Schoolboy Q here, I can find the dude's name because he was on Schoolboy Q's album.
Okay.
They did sign that girl, shout out her. But Schoolboy Q on his last album had an artist that it was Devin Malik. You know who that is? Or no? Okay, Devin Malik is an artist from, I think he's from LA. But he was putting music out. He was on Schoolboy Q's album a couple of times, I think. And Schoolboy Q was on his album. Schoolboy Q went on one podcast or something like that and said that they signed him and they've been developing him because he's like a producer artist. And his next project will be on TDE. That's what I was speaking to. But I don't know. I saw Mike and thought Malik, but I was wrong. Episode 75. You know what I'm saying? New Year about to be coming in. We still here. Still in there like swimwear, man. Anything to say? Anything to end the people with?
Everybody go check out that Peter Tosh video we just put out. It's doing numbers right now, going up. Go check out some of the pods. We've been unloading old content, stuff, just trying to get through it. But guys, 1,000. I'm gonna say it every week. We're almost at 1,000. Let me get close to the camera so y'all can hear. Almost at 1,000, bro. Send it to your mom, send it to your brother, send it to your friends. Tell your friends to send it out to some more friends, guys. I'm trying to get you to some events too, so let us know what type of music you want to hear at those events.
Yo, and to the 81 people out there that have all notifications on,
shout out
Sugar on our podcast. We thank you. You want to see everything we do. Everything we do. Bong, 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 bong. Contact. That's what y'all get. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all. That's all I gotta say. And if you're not doing that, you should. You should.
You're missing out.
We're gonna see y'all next week, man. We're gonna see y'all next week.